who sent the letter to the player. The player, who is an ex-employee of Playtime Co., returns in the year 2005 after reading this very letter, which stated, "Everyone thinks that the staff disappeared 10 years ago. We're still here. Find the flower." Before this letter, we saw the VHS tape introducing Poppy. She was a doll launched around 1950s. She had an incredible feature that she could actually talk back to a child, which were not some recorded dialogues powered by battery, but lifelike responses. The next segment was about Playtime Co. announcing factory tours for the visitor, but soon the VHS tape glitched out and we saw the image of a giant poppy flower painted somewhere in the factory. But who was the person to send us this letter? Plus, was it even a person or a toy, or even worse, was it the prototype? Well, my first theory says that it might be an employee we, the player, were quite friendly or maybe very frank with. Or it could be an employee of a senior position because he or she would keep some important information about the junior employees, like their name, their address, their qualification. What falsifies this theory is that in Chapter 3, at the end of the game, Poppy showed us a VHS tape regarding the Hour of Joy, which was a tragic incident that took place on 8th of August 1995. She told that every single person was killed. The guilty, the innocent, didn't matter. But maybe, just maybe, some senior employees would have survived. We know that Leith Pierre and some other employees were forced to seek shelter somewhere else, but their fates are yet unknown. It might be possible that they are still alive, hiding in some secure location of the factory so that the toys have not found them yet. And they might have sent this letter because, as a senior employee, he might know where the player would be located at, and the player walks right into it in search of his employee partners. We know that in Playtime Co.'s Bigger Bodies initiative, not only the orphans were converted into toys, but it also included some employees. For example, Thomas Clark, who was a 59-year-old employee, was diagnosed with lung cancer and he was converted into Brawn the dinosaur. Huggy Wuggy was also a part of the staff earlier on. So, does that mean that the staff is still here? Refers to the toys who were part of the staff are still there and want us to return? But what falsifies this theory is that we know that Brawn the dinosaur was attacked by Boxy Boo and he was severely injured. And he was also kept isolated in a room. Plus, he has broad feet, which makes writing for him absolutely impossible. Also, when he was converted into a toy, he showed a lot of abnormalities. He had no recall of the past and was not aware of who he is, and he did not even know how to behave. Imagine being isolated in a room, not knowing how to behave.
Of Sound Mind has volunteered for this experiment.
We have eye movement. Can you hear us, Thomas?
1199 displayed much more disorientation than we expected.
Or what to do. It makes no sense that Braun could have written this letter to us. Although you can say that Experiment 1170, aka Huggy, could have written this letter under the persuasion of Prototype. But we don't know whether the Prototype has the ability to control your body. Sure, he does have the power to manipulate you to doing any things that you were not meant to do. But it's highly unclear whether he could control a body with his mind or not. Plus, if you see Huggy's hands in the chase scene of Chapter 1, his hands were hanging down lifelessly. And even in Chapter 2, When we came across Kissy Missy, who was trying to open the lever for the player to continue, her hand slipped from the lever once, and she had to do it again. This clearly shows that their hands were not strong enough to grab some small objects, so forget about writing. Many people in the community have already made a guess that it is crafty corn, but here's what's the problem is. You may say that she had some really big addiction for the color red, and she could even kill one of her friends for their blood to complete her painting. But here's what seems very off. The writing on the letter does not seem to be written with blood. It seems to be written with some sort of a crayon or something. Plus, in her voice lines, hear it out again. The first line was, "Hi, I'm Crafty Corn. Can you help me with my painting? Pass me the blue, please."
Hi, I'm Crafty Corn. Can you help me with my painting? Pass me the blue, please.
Do we see any annotations with the blue color? Absolutely not. This letter has been written completely in red. Plus, the drawing of the poppy flower does not seem so nice and tidy. And if Crafty Corn was an excellent painter, why was this drawing not so good? According to me, the only smiling critter who could have written this letter is Bobby Bearhug. Notice that in the voice line of all the other smiling critters, although they are talking to us, none of them mentioned our return to Playtime Co. except for Bobby Bearhug. Hear her voice lines out once again.
Hi, I'm Bobby Bearhug. Want to know how much I love you? I love you to the moon and back. I'm crazy about you. I'm lost without you. I've been lost a long time. Please, take me with you this time.
She said that I've been lost a long time. Please take me with you this time. With you this time? Does she know that the player has returned to the factory after 10 years? And if she knows, that it makes me highly suspicious that it might be Bobby Bearhug who has written the letter to us. And lastly, but the most accurate theory of mine is that it is the prototype. We know that the prototype wanted revenge on all the scientists for the experimentation and tortures, and killing every single employee was his main goal. And we as an employee who worked here 10 years ago are also a target. He would have sent this letter to guilt trip the player, knowing that he would come back looking for his co-workers being still alive. But the player realizes the harsh reality after Poppy shows her the VHS known as the Hour of Joy. But here's the catch. The prototype is definitely not just a simple machine who just wants to get the player killed and fulfill his mission. The prototype has feelings like hate, urge for freedom, and he even questioned Harley Sawyer, "Do you feel anything?" These questions are really unusual for a robot with no feelings. It really makes me believe that it is none other than Elliot Ludwig. This theory holds true only if we assume that Elliot Ludwig is not dead. Hear me out. The letter on a desk is not just a sheet of paper alone. Towards the side, we also see a yellow VHS tape and another envelope thingy with Playtime written on it. It means that this thing was parceled to us. And I don't think the toys inside the factory would ever be trained to deliver a parcel. Why would they be trained to do that? Because it is simply not part of their job. They don't need the toys to do this at all. It clearly means that first the player got this as a parcel. He viewed the VHS tape, and after that he read the letter. Only an employee would know the concept of parcels because they have seen the outside world. None of the toys have seen the outside world, not even once. The prototype, if he has a soul inside of him, and that too if Elliot Ludwig would know what the outside world is like, and therefore he would know the concept of parceling things. Plus, there is one thing very similar between Elliot Ludwig and this letter. We know in chapter 2 when we got the key to Elliot Ludwig's room, it was again of the shape of a poppy flower. Again, the letter had a drawing of a poppy flower, and Elliot Ludwig, during his last few years of his life, was really interested about knowing the properties of poppy flower, especially its revival properties. Plus, in our hallucination, we heard a radio broadcast that really questioned whether Elliot Ludwig was actually a good person or was he just faking it, because we know that a body of a young boy was found on the estate of the late Elliot Ludwig. Although someone could have planted it there, but his weird habit of returning some strange hours of night and departing before sunrise could really make us believe that he is definitely hiding something which has forced the prototype to blur his face in the VHS tapes, and he definitely might be the final boss of the game. But what do you guys think? Who sent the letter to the player? Let me know down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. Subscribe or else.
I'm coming for you.